here you go, make another video for y'all. So as you can see, I have my toy trucks set up. We're gonna talk about some backing in this video. I wanna talk about the 90-degree back, first and foremost. Now, with that being said, I wanna talk about a few things that I noticed that people do at truck stops, and I'll also illustrate them with the truck. And I have to excuse me, I'm holding the phone with one hand and gonna try to do it with the truck with the other. Now, what you'll typically tend to see is, actually I'll go ahead and move this one down here a tad bit, and we'll go ahead and have him back into this spot right here. So this is something, a few things I wanna talk about. You will typically find that you have drivers who don't know how to set up properly, and they'll have issues with setting up. Let's just pretend that this is another row of trucks right here. That's the backside, so obviously you can't hit that. I noticed that people don't use their real estate. So you might have a driver coming around, and let's say he comes around from the aisle that's behind these trucks. He pulls around and he's like, all right, I'm gonna find me a spot to park in. He or she will pull around. Notice the position of the truck relative to the spot that this driver wants to go into. They'll do things like this. Oh man, I see a spot. Now what will end up happening is they'll go and do a pretty good setup for the spot, you know? And they'll be like, all right, great, awesome. Now I can go ahead and whip this thing and do a 90 to the spot. Now, by the time that you guys are watching this video, obviously you guys know how to drive, and you just, looking for pointers. They'll begin the maneuver for a 90. So they'll start backing, backing, backing. Now, look what's gonna happen. If I may, just imagine, let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and use my back scratcher. My back scratcher and this drumstick as the line of trucks. You'll notice that people will have a hard time being able to back because they'll get to a spot where, oh, dang, I can't go anymore. Now, the reason they'll have this issue is because when they started their backing maneuver, instead of being close to the row of trucks that they want to actually back into, the spot they want to be back into, they will start way out here, dead in the middle of the lane that they're driving through. And as a result, they have a bad setup because now that they see the spot that they want to pull into, they'll begin their backing maneuver, try to do a 90, and now they're stuck hitting the row of trucks or whatever is barricading them from the front. So we're going to talk about doing a 90. First things first, start with the proper setup. The rule of thumb is 15 feet out and 15 feet forward from your spot. So with that being said, let's just say this is the spot you want to go into, as mentioned before. You will drive your truck forward. Sorry about that, guys. Mom called. Now, like I was saying, we're going to go ahead and set up for the 90. Now, we're going to use, the general rule of thumb is 15 feet out, 15 feet forward. So let's say this is the spot that I want to go into, okay? This is the spot right here. I will pull forward. Now, with that being said, now that I'm pulled forward, the spot is here, like I said. The trailer needs to be 15 feet away in this direction and 15 feet forward in that direction, thus making a 90 degree. So you should be like the two sides of a triangle. You have 15 feet out, 15 feet forward. So now that you've accomplished that, that's typically good for most tandem settings. Now, you have to take into account that when you're backing, sometimes you'll see the guys, and this is for drive-in especially, they'll have it to where their wheels are all the way up by the trailer skirts. So what ends up happening is you have 6, 7, 8 feet of overhang off the rear end of the trailer. Now that shortens your wheelbase, so it allows you to turn faster. So what I've noticed when I did van was 15 feet out, 15 feet forward is the baseline rule of thumb, with the tandem setting probably right in the middle. When you have the wheels all the way far forward like that, because your wheelbase is shorter, you'll turn faster. So you actually need to be out a little bit more to compensate for that overhang. But with that being said, you can start the backing maneuver a little bit closer. So you need to be out probably like 20 or so feet, 20, 25 feet maybe. Those are guesstimates. But you can start the maneuver probably about 5 to 10 feet from the box. So if your tandems are all the way slid forward, like way up to here, 20 to 25 feet and about 5 to 10 feet. Vice versa, when you have your trailer settings kind of like the way this one is set all the way to the rear of the trailer, it takes longer for you to turn, but you don't have overhang off the back to compensate for. So with that being said, you can get away with being really close because you don't have anything on the back to compensate for. But it also takes longer. So while you're backing up and turning that, cutting that steering wheel, it's gonna take longer for the trailer to begin to turn. So, didn't mean to bump him. So what you need to do is, you can get away with being about 5 feet away, 10 feet away from the spot, but you're gonna have to pull up to probably about 20 or 25 feet, somewhere around there. So it's vice versa. But we're gonna go back to general settings. About 15 feet out, 15 feet forward. I accidentally closed my box. Now that you're 15 feet out, 15 feet forward, what you're going to do is cut the steering wheel all the way to the right. Sorry, so weird trying to say it while playing with a toy, trying to imagine doing it in my head. You're gonna cut the steering wheel all the way to the right. So what that's going to do is allow the truck to start turning like such. Now when the truck starts turning, as you can see, the trailer is still going to move backwards. But with it turning backwards, the more bend you put between the truck and the trailer, the more the trailer will stop turning backwards and begin to actually pivot. Now you see, this is something I see, another thing I want to talk about that I see a lot of people do. A lot of people will do this. They will get the truck into the position for the 90. Now, depending on how much room you have to play with, you can really just relatively just gauge an eyeball. A lot of people ask me, I need to know exactly how to do it like this, exact numbers. There are no exact numbers because there's too many possible types of scenarios. So a lot of people ask me, well, what are the exact ways to do it? What's like, how long should I hold it like this? One truck stop is different than another. So some spots are wider than others, some spots aren't. Sometimes you're trying to back around a long nose Pete versus sometimes you're backed around a regular Freightliner Cascadia with a short nose. You need to adjust based off of the type of situation that you're in. So you guys are gonna have to stop asking me about, what is the exact number? How long should I hold it? There is no exact number. There is no exact length of time to hold the steering wheel and keep the trailer in a certain position. What you need to do is gauge what you're doing. And this is what I'm trying to teach in this video. Now, we're gauging. So, now that you have the truck in this position, this is something that I like to do, and it worked perfectly, and all my students loved it. I call it walking the trailer. I'm a big math, geometry kind of guy. As you can see, the truck is in a 90-degree angle with the trailer. It's perpendicular to it. If you pull forward, you break that 90. If you push back, you break that 90. So what I teach people to do is once you get to a certain spot, you need to maneuver that steering wheel, left turn, right turn, whatever, to allow you to maintain that 90-degree bend in the trailer while turning it. Now, this is another thing that people do. It messes them up. They'll maintain that 90. Now, once they get the trailer lined up with the spot, this is when they begin trying to get back in front of it. And that's wrong because if you'll notice, now that you're trying to get back in front of the trailer, you'll typically have people who'll do stuff like that. And I know you've noticed that, and you guys have seen it at truck stops. They'll do this number where now they're, well, dang, my trailer's not right. And they'll overshoot it. And sometimes they're in a position where they don't have the room to move forward. So what I want you guys to understand is you need to start coming out of that back at a certain point. And only you are going to be able to look at that backing maneuver that you're doing in the situation and scenario that you're in, engage when you should start coming out of it. So you'll begin your backing maneuver. You'll cut hard right, thus making your trailer turn left. You'll begin walking the trailer, maintaining that bend in it. You see how I'm basically pretending the truck, I'm steering the truck, making it keep that bend. Now that I see that I'm at a certain point, what I'm going to do is start trying to get, let me keep that barricade, get back in front of the trailer. And now that you see that I'm getting back in front of it, the closer you are to being in a straight line with the trailer, the more it will move backwards and the less it will actually turn. The more bend you have in it, the more it's going to turn and the less it's actually moving backwards. So you have to be able to gauge that. So you'll continue coming out of it, coming out of it, coming out of it. And then just go ahead and do minute, small, if you need to do a small pull-up, go ahead. Do a small pull-up, get that bend out the trailer. Now that the bend is out, go ahead, whip that bad boy into a spot. And there you have it, doing a 90. So key things I want you guys to remember is this. When you come into a parking lot to do a 90 into a place at a parking spot, make sure that you are using your available real estate. Do not start up close against where your cutoff is. That's going to barricade you and keep you from being able to actually complete the maneuver. You need to give yourself space for your blind side. Just come back in, start closer to the row of trucks that you want to back close to. Now, pull forward. Now that you pull forward, 15 feet out, 15 feet forward, cut your steering wheel, begin your 90-degree back, work yourself in. Once you see the trailer gets to a certain point, before it is completely lined up with the spot, then start cutting your steering wheel back to begin getting your tractor back in front of your trailer. The more the tractor is in front of the trailer, the less the trailer is turning, the more it is actually being pushed back. I'll implore you guys to always get out and look. If you're not sure, get out and look. Get back in front of the trailer and complete your backing maneuver. All right, guys. So this is it for a 90-degree video. And that's just so you guys know, a 90 is actually better to do for tighter spots than a 45. That's what a 90 is for. You can do whatever you want to do if you have the space for it, whatever you're most comfortable. Now, there are situations where you probably notice where you try to do a 45 and you just can't get it because you don't have the real estate to do it. But a 90, it will allow you to take up less space. It takes more skill to do it. It allows you to take up less space, and it's a little bit more risky. But if you follow these principles that I laid out, you will be able to get into any spot. Any spot that's safe for you to get inside of without hitting something. All right, guys, take care. I'm gonna drop several videos tonight. This is just one of them.
Black Beatles in the city, be back immediately to confiscate the monies.